Part 1, How It All Started. I know how this sounds. I know what you're probably already thinking. But please, just hear me out. It didn't begin with some grand plan to ruin my sister's life or destroy her marriage. It started quietly. Slowly. With glances that lasted too long. Laughs that felt warmer than they should have. And a growing ache in my chest every time he left the room. His name is Daniel. My sister met him in college, and I remember the first time she brought him home for the holidays. I thought he was cute, sure, but I didn't give it much thought. He was her boyfriend. That was that. Years passed. They got married. I was her maid of honor. I stood beside her with a big smile on my face and a pit in my stomach I couldn't explain. Even then, I didn't know what it was. But everything changed after I moved back to the city. I had just gone through a rough breakup, and they offered me their guest room until I got back on my feet. It was supposed to be temporary. Just a few weeks, I told myself. Just until I found a place of my own. But in that house, something shifted. We started talking more. Late nights in the kitchen while my sister was asleep. Shared jokes that only we understood. Conversations that felt easy, too easy, like we'd known each other forever. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was imagining things. That I was vulnerable, confused, maybe even jealous of their happiness. But one night, we were alone in the living room. A movie was playing, and we were both only half watching. I looked over at him, and he was already looking at me. There was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Something dangerous. Something that made my heart race and my stomach flip. He didn't say a word. Neither did I. But in that moment, we both knew something had changed. And once that line is crossed, even in silence, nothing is ever the same again. Part 2, Crossing the Line. After that night, I couldn't look at him the same way. I couldn't not think about it. Every time he walked into the room, it was like electricity wrapped itself around my chest. And when our eyes met, even just for a second, it was like we were both pretending the silence didn't scream. I tried so hard to bury it. To be normal. To act like the innocent little sister just staying over for a while. But the truth was, I was starting to feel something. And worse, I was starting to believe he felt it too. It wasn't just in my head anymore. He'd linger in the kitchen when I walked in. He'd sit closer on the couch. He started noticing things, like how I always wear my hair tucked behind my ear when I'm nervous. He remembered my favorite coffee order. He listened when I talked like I was the only voice in the room. And my sister. She didn't see it. Or maybe she did. She started getting colder. She'd snap at him more often. And once, I caught her looking at me like she knew something she didn't want to say out loud. The moment it all broke open was so stupidly small. It was raining. My sister was out with friends, and Daniel and I were home alone. We made tea, watched some old comedy he liked, and then I got cold. He offered me a blanket, and as he handed it over, our hands touched. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. I wish I could say I ran out of the room. That I remembered who he was, who she was, and shut it down. But I didn't. Instead, I stayed. And when he brushed a strand of hair from my face, something inside me shattered. He kissed me. It was soft at first, hesitant, like even he couldn't believe he was doing it. But then it deepened. And I let it. I let it happen. And right after, as soon as we pulled apart, the silence felt louder than ever. We didn't say a word. We didn't need to. We had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And I remember thinking, this wasn't just a moment. This was the beginning of a storm. A storm I had helped create. And one I had no idea how to survive. Part 3, Living a Lie. The morning after that kiss. I woke up with the weight of the world on my chest. Like I had swallowed something sharp and it was cutting me from the inside. I avoided him. Didn't come down for breakfast. Pretended to be on calls. Told my sister I was thinking of moving out soon, just to ease the guilt twisting in my stomach. But none of it worked. Because every moment I wasn't with him, I was thinking about him. And every moment I was with her, I was dying a little inside. She had no idea. Still smiled at me over coffee. Still called me her best friend in the world. Still asked me if I thought Daniel was pulling away lately. I said, no, he's just tired. I lied straight to her face. And the worst part? She believed me. Daniel and I didn't talk about the kiss. Not directly. But the way he looked at me told me everything. This wasn't over. It had barely begun. It's strange how something so small can eat you alive. A look. A pause. A secret held between two people that no one else in the world knows. It makes you feel powerful and broken at the same time. One night, we were all watching TV together. I was curled up on the far end of the couch, my sister between us. He passed me the remote, and our fingers brushed. And even though my sister was right there, that 1 second felt like 1,000. The worst part wasn't the kiss anymore. It was the wanting. The waiting. The slow destruction of every moral line I thought I had. I started seeing pieces of him everywhere. I wore the hoodie he forgot in the laundry room. I walked the route he took to work just to feel closer somehow. And I hated myself for it. But there was something inside me, this fire I couldn't put out. I wanted him. And deep down, I knew he wanted me too. Even if we never said it out loud. It wasn't just lust. It was deeper than that. It was like our hearts had started whispering to each other in a language no one else could hear. And that's what made it so dangerous. Because it wasn't just about her anymore. It wasn't even about right or wrong. It was about something that felt so real. So inevitable. That no matter how hard I tried to stop it, I knew. Eventually, this would all come crashing down. And none of us would walk away whole. Part 4, Secrets Have a Weight. It's terrifying, how easy it is to live two lives. To wake up every day, smile across the table at your sister. And still replay his kiss 100 times in your head. I kept telling myself, this has to stop. This is wrong. This is poison. And yet, the more I tried to fight it, the more it pulled me in. Daniel and I never talked about what we were. No big conversations. No labels. But our silence said everything. One night, I caught him standing in the hallway, just outside my door. He didn't knock. He didn't come in. He just stood there, his hand halfway to the frame, like he didn't trust himself to go further. And I didn't open it. Because I knew that if I did, we wouldn't come back from it. And still. The next morning, I was the one who made breakfast. The one who smiled like nothing was wrong. The one who watched her sister kiss him on the cheek. And felt like she was watching someone else's life. I started avoiding mirrors. Not because I was afraid of how I looked. But because I couldn't stand the person staring back at me. How did I let it get this far? I wasn't raised like this. My sister and I, we shared everything growing up. Secrets, dreams, heartbreaks. We were inseparable. She was my person. But now, I was hiding the ugliest truth from her. And here's the thing about secrets. They grow teeth. They gnaw at you, bite by bite, until your soul feels hollow. One afternoon, we went out to brunch, just the two of us, like old times. She laughed so freely, sipped her mimosa, told me how grateful she was that I moved in. Said I brought new energy into the house. She was so happy. so completely unaware of the knife I had lodged between her ribs. I almost told her. Right there. My mouth opened? But the words just didn't come. Because how do you tell someone? I betrayed you in a way you'll never recover from? How do you say? The man you love looks at me like I'm the one he married in another life? That night, Daniel came into my room. He didn't touch me. He just sat on the edge of the bed and whispered. I can't stop thinking about you. And I broke. I told him we had to end this. That we couldn't keep living like this. Pretending we hadn't already set fire to everything around us. He didn't fight me. Didn't beg. Just nodded, slowly. Like he knew this moment was coming. But then, as he stood to leave, he said something I'll never forget. We can lie to her. We can lie to ourselves. But we both know the truth. And the truth doesn't go away just because we're afraid of it. And with that, he walked out. And I lay there in the dark. With the truth burning inside me like a secret I could never unknow. Part 5, everything starts to crumble. After Daniel left my room that night, I stared at the ceiling for hours. Not because I couldn't sleep, but because I was afraid of what my dreams might show me. I kept thinking, what if she finds out? What will she do? What will I say? But deep down, I knew the better question was, when will she find out? Because secrets like this, they don't stay buried forever. They rot. And eventually, they rise to the surface like something dead you thought was long gone. The tension in the house started to thicken. My sister got quieter. She'd stare off sometimes during dinner, like her thoughts were in a place she didn't want to share. She didn't laugh as much. She started locking her phone. And one night, I heard her crying in the bathroom. I didn't ask why. Because part of me already knew. And Daniel, he changed too. He was colder. Distant. Like he was building a wall between the world and whatever he felt for me. It was like he'd put our fire in a box, sealed it shut, and thrown away the key. And I was left outside, wondering if any of it had meant the same to him. The space between us grew. But the weight of what we'd done hung heavier than ever. Then, the breaking point came, and it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a huge fight. It was one question. My sister turned to me while we were doing laundry, just casually folding towels, and asked, "Did something happen between you and Daniel?" Just like that. No anger. No suspicion in her voice. Just pain. And in that second, everything inside me went silent. I didn't know what to say. Lie? Tell the truth? Cry? Run? I stammered something, I don't even remember what. Something vague. Something pathetic. And she just looked at me. Really looked. And then she said, "You don't even have to answer. I already know." That sentence. It hit harder than any slap could have. She walked away. And I stood there, holding a towel like it was the only thing keeping me from collapsing. After that day, the house changed. It wasn't home anymore. She barely spoke to me. Daniel barely came home. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore, it was punishment. And I realized. It wasn't the kiss that ruined everything. It was the silence afterward. The pretending. The lying. It was all the moments we could have stopped. And didn't. I had destroyed something sacred. Not just between her and Daniel, but between her and me. And now, there was no fixing it. Only fallout. Part 6, What's Left After the Fire. Months have passed. Seasons changed. And yet, the air still feels heavy, like smoke that never really cleared. I moved out the same week everything came crashing down. It wasn't dramatic. No yelling. No final blowout. Just silence. Boxes. And a door closing behind me. I haven't seen my sister since. She didn't ask me to leave. She didn't have to. The distance between us said it all. And Daniel? He stayed. With her. Or maybe out of guilt. Or fear. I don't know. I don't ask anymore. I sometimes imagine their life now. Maybe they patched things up. Maybe they pretend it never happened. Or maybe, deep down, they both carry a wound they never speak of. And me? I carry mine too. You see, people think betrayal is just about the act. But it's more than that. It's about the trust you killed. The mirror you can't look into. The version of yourself you'll never get back. There are no winners in this story. Only scars. But I'm learning. Slowly. I don't justify what I did. I don't dress it up as passion or a mistake. It was a choice. One I made with open eyes. And I'll live with that. But I also refuse to let it define every part of me. Because people are messy. Flawed. Capable of love and hurt and things they never thought themselves capable of. And sometimes, healing isn't about fixing the past. It's about not letting it poison the future. I'm in therapy now. I journal. I walk a lot. Some days, I cry for what I lost. Other days, I breathe a little easier. And every now and then, I wonder if my sister thinks of me. If she remembers the laughter before the pain. The closeness before the fracture. I hope she's okay. And maybe one day, when enough time has passed, when the pain has softened, we'll find our way back. Not to what we were, that's gone. But maybe to something new. Something honest. And until then, I carry the weight. Because it's mine. Because I earned it. And because that's what growing up sometimes looks like.